Trading the foreign exchange market carries high risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Trading on margin, utilizing leverage can carry an even higher level of risk that can lead to a complete loss of investment funds. So before deciding to trade the foreign exchange market or using any of our software alert products, you should carefully and diligently consider your personal investment objectives, level of experience, and risk tolerance. There is a possibility that you could potentially sustain significant loss. You should not invest any capital or trade that you cannot afford to lose. It is your responsibility to be aware of and understand all risks associated with foreign exchange trading and to seek professional advice from an independent certified financial advisor if you have any doubts. Auvoria Prime does not exercise trading authority over your trades. You and you alone exercise discretionary trading authority over every trade.
Now you see, okay, yep, this looks pretty good right now. It's we've got three green on the bottom, one on the top. We have a bounce, we have an arrow. I think I can just look at this one. Look, and let's double check the I trust DB's opinion about this. Ooh, it's 93 pips to the top side. I would say this looks like a good trade.
Well, this is as good as it gets, isn't it?
I think that this usually don't see him quite this clean this early. So I'm going to go ahead and buy on that one.
The only thing, and I've learned not to worry about it, is there's resistance at the M5, but I've seen these work too many times lately when it's so close to the support.
Well, in reality, is that's not really part of the original 15-minute plan. It's just they're not really looking at that 5-minute, although it's something I think is worth paying attention to. We do have a little bit of I can see right here in this area, right, there'll be a little bit of probably a little, and we have some wicks. So it may not be quite as robust as we may look, but right now I think it's a good one to take a look at. I mean, we're still up 20 pips to almost 20 pips to the blue line. If it comes up to that blue line right there, actually we can tell you what we're going to do. We're going to put this right here where the entry was.
I'm in.
And this would really be where I would consider to be the first target right there at the base of these wicks right over here, because there were some sellers coming in. But even with that, we're looking at 86 to 06 would be, so that's still 23 pips to the base of these wicks over here. So I think that's a good, I think it's worth taking a shot at that one. And that's Euro Aussie. And let's see. I'm going to buy on that one. All right, that's the first trade of the week for us for right here.
That was quick.
That was really quick.
That's faster than I had anticipated.
And let's see, we had the alert for the Aussie New Zealand. Let's go back and take a look at that one. I think that one was also a possibility. Oops, I mean, before I forget, and before anybody else forgets, make sure you put your stops and targets in. I'm just going to put my 40 pip stop, 20 pip target. I'm going for 20 pips, and I can adjust it later on, but at least that's everything moving in the right direction. And Aussie New Zealand, let's take a look at that one. And again, see, now this one looks like this could be in a downtrend, but we'll have to zoom in a little bit closer to see. This isn't a downtrend, but we do have, let me move this around a little bit. I'm going to adjust my contra trend zones. So I'm going to go to my objects list. Actually, I think I already have this thing set on. I think I changed some of these already. It should be able to just go to the template. I adjusted my template last Friday on some of these to move these zones over to the appropriate spot already. So let me see if if the computer has memory. Here we go. A little bit of a lag here. And there's my template. Open it up. Let me see if my zones come on over to where I want them to be. Yep, there they go. Here's my money zone. Here's my contra trend zones. It's not in a contra trend zone yet. Right now, we had a strong move up, crossed over the moving averages, pulled back. And we want to take a look at our heat map and just see exactly how much room we may have to the correlation factor of this thing. And it looks like the Aussie is, I'm going to get it pulled up here. Everything's just a little slow on Monday mornings, myself included. Okay, let's take a look at the heat map, and we're looking at the Aussie New Zealand. So where's the Aussie here? Right now on the 1 hour chart, it's right in the middle. On the 30-minute chart, it's a little bit weak. And we're looking at the New Zealand dollar, which is even right now, the New Zealand dollar is on the 1 hour, the 30-minute, the 15-minute. The New Zealand dollar is showing weakness compared to just about everything else. Now it is starting to show some strength on the 5-minute. So that may be starting to make a little bit of a move. But right now, I'm not real anxious to take it long. I like to see a little bit more strength over here on some of these. And the Aussie is still showing weakness too. So there's not a lot of spread between the Aussie and New Zealand. It's still in the contra trend mode. So I think I'll pass on that one. I do like the fact that across the 200 moving average, I like the fact that the arrow moving average is pointing up. We have the arrow. We really didn't get the, it really didn't get the, it was a bounce and we got the arrow. The only thing is we didn't get the arrow on the bounce, we got the arrow on the pullback. I would like to see it, I could see where it could take off from here and keep on going up and retest this zone. This could be a rally, it could be a basing, but I'd like to see it break through some of this trend line right here. We have a little bit of a trend. Here's the high. We have a little bit of a trend going on right in here. So if we get a break at this level, we could have a little bit of a trap right here. And I'll mark this off and we'll just kind of keep a note of that and just see if it breaks. Where's my shapes? Shapes. Insert. Shapes. Here we go. This is my rectangle. I'm going to take it from this pivot high here, which is where the last hit of the trend line is. And we're going to take it over to, we'll just take it over to this zone, right where the contra trend zone is. And right now, as long as it stays in this area, I'm not interested in taking it. I want to see it break this pivot right here. And if we break that pivot, then we may have some room to the next one, which is up here. But that's only 6 pips. And there's 10 pips. We may not even have full 20 pips to that red zone. Let's see. We have, not quite. We have 7, there's 20 pips is up here inside the zone. It's one of those, this is one of those trades where if it, right now I'd expect it to get trapped in here somewhere. If we got to close above the top of this rectangle, I might be willing to take it for a few pips, but you're going to find some buyers or some sellers here. If you look over here to the left, this is where the sellers came in and drove it all the way down overnight. This was on Friday. And then we had the overnight area. One thing I'd like to look at, I've been looking at more and more, is that when we look at the overnight, this is Sunday night to Monday morning, and see where the bodies of the candles are. So let's take a look and see. It's going to be about 106.64. Let's get our lines up here. And 10 open 1.0664. Let's see where that goes. Okay, and then we have a stop area, and we'll call it 106.51. 0.0651. And then we'll put a target up here at 107-ish. Maybe we just have our lines back on our charts here. And I'm going to look at the overnight high, the body of the overnight high before the money zone. I'm going to look at the bodies of the overnight low before the money zone, and we're going to include the Sunday night open right here. There's a little wick right here on the open, that counts. And right here we had the breakout. And actually this would have been where you would have wanted to get into the trade after the London session opens, the candle comes up. This is really the beginning of the trade that we would be looking at on this. And that you would already be out of it by this time, I'm pretty sure. If you got in right here, you'll be, but you have to be, you already got your 20 pips. Now the question, is there another 20 pip move to the upside? Maybe 5, maybe 10. But you certainly don't want to risk 40 pips to make 5. That doesn't make sense. So I'll pass on this one. I will note this one, and we'll see what happens from that area. Any questions so far?
Nope, you're good.
Let's take a look at the news for the week while we're kind of waiting for the next alerts to come in. And let's see. Find my news folder. We have a couple. I'm going to start using the FX book. Let's see if this one. I'll use both of them. I'll use both the FX book and also the Forex Factory. I've always used the Forex Factory, but we're finding out that the FX book is actually giving us a few more come see me type things that the other one does. Here's Forex Factory. Monday morning, not too much going on today. A little bit at 10 o'clock this morning with the U.S. IM manufacturing report. That's a red folder. 10:30 tonight, the Aussies have a red folder. RBA rate statement. I don't know what that means, but it's red folder, so you pay attention to them. And if we go to as the week goes by, Monday, Tuesday, a little bit on the Aussie on Tuesday. The one you have to really, Wednesday, there's a few red folders scattered around. There's a Great Britain one. That's tentative. 3:15 with New Zealand on Wednesday. So it looks like every day there's a couple red folders. Here's Thursday, all day OPEC meeting. Oh, watch out for the Canadian U.S. with the oil on that one. Fed Chair Powell speaks at 12 o'clock. And then last but not least, we'll have on Friday, 8:30, take a big note, put this one on your calendar, 8:30 Friday morning. This is the non-farm payroll report. And that one's usually a mover and a shaker, more so than most of the others, even red folders. And I'll go to the FX choice or FX book. And let's see. Here's a high one for today, March 1st. That's in 12 minutes, the euro. Keep an eye on that one. 10 o'clock, we have a couple with the US dollar and euro. So this is scattered around with some red folders here today. So it's Monday morning. One thing about you get Monday mornings are usually a lot of positioning is taking. They take their positions, and right now we have a Monday morning on the first of the month. So the institutions are starting to get their positions for the month. They do it for the week. They do it for the month, and so we could get some volatility today, just as positions are being taken for whatever direction they choose to move things to. Any questions so far? No questions there. Nothing in the chat box.
Did anybody have fun with Bitcoin this weekend?
Well, I bought some more Bitcoin on the pullback. I don't know if that was a good thing or not, but that's that's what where is Bitcoin today? I mean, look to see where it is today yet.
It's on. So I'm in a. I did a swing trade last night on the 1 hour. There was an hour where I'm about, if you calculate around 15,000 pips with arrow, but I think that converts to about 1,500 pips.
So where is Bitcoin right now?
It's at 40, like closing in on 48,000, just a touch below 48,000.
Okay, all right. Well, I bought in right around 45, so I'm good there.
Yep. It's moving back up right now.
That's one thing about as we're talking about these cryptocurrencies, I think the long-term trend is that they're going to be going up. So what I've been doing is that I buy them, and when they pull back, I just sort of stick them in my wallet to hold on to them for a little bit further time, and then I buy. I always like to have some Bitcoin profitable sitting in the like in the exchanges, so that when I decide to make a move some to fund my trading accounts, I try and buy them low. When they get up to be profitable, where I kind of cover the commissions and the spreads of the exchange, then I move them into my wallet and have them sitting in my wallet. So that way, when we have events like last week was a good example, is that there were several people that were a little taken by surprise with the volatility of the market last week, where even like with the people that were running Gearbox or Variable or anybody that was running some of our EA programs, which are really good programs, I've got to say. But they found themselves into some drawdown. And I mean, fortunately, and I'm not sure why I didn't have much drawdown at all, but there were several people that were running into 20, 30, 40, 50% drawdown. And when that happens, you start to say, my gosh, is this thing going to work? Is it going to work? And I'll say one thing about it. Most of the time, in my experience over the last several years using the Alexanders and Einsteins and Gearbox and variable type programs, they will dig themselves out. But oftentimes it's a little bit of a uncomfortable feeling for the people that are in the drawdown, because they don't know where the top or the bottom of their drawdown is going to be. So what I oftentimes do is I will have some money in my wallet with my trading with my broker, and so that if I get into a really steep drawdown, I will use some of that money that I have in my wallet to add to the account to bring the drawdown down. Because, like I said, most of the time you don't always know where the tops or the bottoms are, but for the most part, by the time you get to a 40 or 50% drawdown on your account, you're probably pretty much near the extreme. And if you're getting close to being stopped out and where the brokers start taking and closing out your trades, if you can add some money to your account, it helps sustain that drawdown. But the risk there is that you're just adding more money, more fuel to the fire, and you add more to your losses. But it also gives you the chance to maybe sustain that drawdown to become profitable. As I think most everybody that was in a drawdown last week, they found out that, all right, it did dig itself out, and so they went from a drawdown to a profit. And the good news is that we all like having the profits each week. We like seeing that positive tick on that adding that extra money to the account. But the reality is that the way you get the bigger return is by the bigger drawdown. It's sort of like you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't have the returns without having the drawdown. And so, but usually the deeper it goes into
Yes.
drawdown, the bigger the profits are at the end of it. But
especially especially Gearbox, right, Al?
especially Gearbox, or Gearbox isn't nearly as bad as, I mean, I shouldn't say as bad. Alexander is a lot more volatile. And that's why Gearbox was developed as it is to keep that volatility down a little bit when they get these big moves. But like I say, you can't always have it both ways. And you just have to be willing to accept that. And when we say every morning, and every time we have a session, we say, don't trade money you can't afford to lose, which means don't put that you have money. Nobody wants to lose money. Nobody wants to blow up their accounts. But just keep in mind that if you have a small percentage of what your net worth is, and you're just taking that small percentage to make big gains, don't invest money that's going to change your life if you lose it. That's all I can. I can't stress that enough. I mean, we say it every day. I don't think people really believe it until they start getting a drawdown, because if you really did believe it, you won't be panicking when you get into a drawdown, because I mean,
It's not
really
going to hurt you, right?
It's really frustrating to see, and this is what happens often. Well, not often, but enough times to make it. You have to pay attention to it. Is that you'll get the where were they going with this? You'll get 2 or 3 or 4 weeks of constant steady returns. You get your whatever percentage you're targeting out, and you reach your targets every week, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks at a time. But usually about I would say somewhere between, I would say on the average, between 6 and 8 weeks, you're going to find a week where you're going to have a major drawdown. Now, is it going to be a major meltdown of the markets like you can have with a black swan effect? Those don't happen but a couple times a year or even once a year. But a huge drawdown or a huge reversal of a series of stocks, or in this case currencies, is not that unusual. The problem you run into is that if you have a correlation if you're in trades where they're highly correlated, and you say, okay, I'm going to allow 3 levels of my trades, and you find that all 3 trades that you're taking are all heavily correlated, well, now you're into 3 positions or how many positions you have open. Now you've doubled and tripled your drawdown because you've got 3 pairs that were taken because the movements are the same. They get you into trades, and you find out they're correlated, and now you're really tripling your exposure to that market move. So all I can say is keep all those things in mind. And that's all I have to say about that. Any other questions or comments about what I was just saying? But I do think that the cryptos are, I mean, in my mind, from a long-term standpoint, I think they're going to be to the upside. When you get, especially when I see 10%, like Ethereum, I think this week I saw it pulled back 10%. I'll jump on that right now. When I see it pull back 10%, that's a good time to be adding to your position.
Yeah, even last week, what was it? Was it last week that Bitcoin lost, what, 20% of its value or something like that? Scared the snot out of everyone. And then a lot of people are like, hey, it's a great time to buy.
Yeah. And the institutions are doing that. They're bringing it down to a level that they want to be buying it. So they drive it down and they buy it, and people get scared because oh my gosh, it's going to be reversal where it's going to go from, like when this thing first started, it went from like a couple dollars to $20,000, and it pulled back to $3,000, and people were saying, "Oh, I'm not going to do this anymore." And the next thing you know, the next big wave, and usually there's a couple big waves, whether you're talking about internet stocks back in the late '90s, early '70s, early 2000s, where the internet stocks were. That was the buzzword was, there's no value. Why would you buy Google? They're not selling anything. Why would you buy Yahoo, or why would you buy Amazon? They're just, it just like, it didn't make a lot of sense to a lot of people, but for some reason the institutions grabbed a hold of it. They drove it on up to first wave. People started jumping in with the craze. Then it pulls back and just sits there for another 2 years. And now we're on the third wave. And usually the third wave is the biggest wave. And that's why a lot of these targets on some of these cryptos are, they're way up there. And so just we're trying to catch that third wave of the cryptos. Let's see. And let's see. Any particular pair that anybody wants to look at? We can dissect this one here on Aussie US. Maybe we should do that. I'll dissect this one a little bit. Let me get a couple of charts up here. See where this Aussie US is going. Let me get it up on my charts. There we go. And let's take a look at this in a bigger picture. This is the one we actually was a euro. The Aussie US is the one we didn't take. We took the which is one we did take. We took the I know where I'm at here. Where are we at? It was the Euro Aussie. That's the one we want to take a look at. Just lost my charts. There you go, Euro Aussie. And so we're looking at a 15-minute chart. We were looking at going long on it. Remember, we said there was some wicks over here that we had to pay attention to. And it looks like we weren't wrong about that. This is pulling back. We had the alert right about in here. Let me just see if that's right. We had the pullback. Yeah, we had that.
Oh, that's 2 separate currencies.
Say that, Christine?
No, you had jumped on the Aussie New Zealand.
Yeah, that was the one. It was a Euro Aussie. We took the trade
correct.
on the correct. No, yeah, okay.
Yeah, but when you're talking bricks back there, I thought you thought they were the same chart.
Oh yeah. So, but we had a nice move up. So this was the Sunday, see 28. Today's the, yeah, so this is a Sunday night action right here on this one. But you can see we are in an uptrend. Well, at least from this standpoint, we are. And let me just go to a higher time frame here. So here's where we entered the trade. We had a little bit of a, well, we'll call this a wedge here. So let's just draw a little triangle here so we can see what we're doing. We had a, here's a low, here's a high, here's a lower low, lower high. So it's actually kind of trending in this in a downward direction here a little bit, although it is in a somewhat of an uptrend. This one over here, there we go. I like this a little bit better here. And we're going to connect the dots. Actually, here was a hit. Here's a hit. There's the third hit. But it's sort of breaking this channel right now, which I kind of like this right now is here's where we got the arrow alert up right about in here. It did break this trend line, but you can see where we pointed out a trap earlier. Now this might be a little bit different trap than what I drew earlier, but you can see that it broke the wedge, and right now it's coming back to retest. We had a break, we had a trend. Here's our anchor, here's our hit, here's another hit. Came back, broke the wedge, closed above it, went up, and right now it's testing the wedge where it broke it out. So this is where we are right now. We're on a little bit of a pullback, and we're probably taking a little bit of heat on this thing, but probably nothing to worry about at this point. Now the question is this uptrend? Is this little, here's where our new zone is. So it came up here's the box that we're looking at. Let's just bring it up here to where these wicks were. And this is where the trap may or may not end up being, but it came up, it wasn't able to take out this high. It retested this one right here all the way across. It retested that. And it actually it still has a lower high because it wasn't able to take out this. The original wedge was all the way down here. But you see it broke it out, came up. Here's where the trap was, right in here. Now that doesn't mean it's not going to break through because it is retesting the bottom of the wedge. So right now we have a little bit of an uptrend. So we have some higher lows. We have lower highs. And right now it's still working its way out to the end here. And we're going to have to wait and see. If it breaks through the bottom, we might have another little trap down below. And so we're just doing this while we're waiting for another trade. So if you look, here's our anchor. Here's a hit, rejected. Came back down, hit again, rejected. This one's stronger than this because just look at the move away from it. So I'm going to be looking at this point right here, this pivot right here, and I'm going to be looking at the break of the wedge, wherever that happens. Wherever this comes in, and when it retests it for the next time, it retests this CD line. If it can break, it's going to have to, for me, it's going to have to break through here, and also be aware that we have another little level right off where the C is. It's got to get through this pivot, and this pivot before it's going to break down. And if you look over here to the left, you'll see that this is the move, strong move up, came back down, retested. You take a note of this pivot right here. This is a strong pivot from the uptrend over to the left. This is the origin of the move. So the origin is down here. Here's the origin of the move. You have the strong move up, came back down. Oh, there's like a rocket ship coming back up. It came back and retested this point right here. So with that in mind, here's our demand zone. I'll make this so right now the buyers are coming. The buyers came back in right around in this area. So if this, so let's go back over here and review this where we got into, we had the arrow up right around this area. If it comes back down into this green zone, which is going to be right at the bottom of the wedge, this could be another little head fake. So we may take some heat on that, but I'd be looking at it's going to bounce. It may break the wedge. It may just bounce straight off the wedge. But this is what I call, this is going to be a possible trap area right in here. And let me find my, here's a trap. And here's another trap area. So really the way I'm looking right now is I'm looking at this is inside these, inside this area is really the range that this thing is trading right now. So we may not want to stay in this trade real long, but well, let's just let it breathe and let it do its thing, and we'll just adjust accordingly. Any questions about that analysis of this particular pair? If I put some moving averages in, let's see if I have my moving averages come up.
I think the nice thing, Al, I just was looking at something else, but I think that you can get 20 pips inside of that range you're talking about between the traps.
Oh, so in other words, if it breaks, if it could get a bounce here to the upside, yeah, let's measure that out. Let's see, that might be right. That's where these 40 pips stop. Yep, you can. This whole area inside is 28 pips. So I'm not sure where do we actually get into this thing? We got into it at let's see the price on this. The alert came in Euro Aussie. That was at 55.85.
72 is where we. No, wait.
55.85.
You're looking at the wrong chart there, Al.
Am I? Oh,
Al,
yeah,
that's the wrong chart.
Yep. Thank you.
86, Al.
Euro Aussie. Euro.
Bottom
Right,
second row.
There you go. Yep, there we go. So this was the entry at 55.86. I mean, we have our stop is all the way down here at the bottom at 55.45. Let's see where that looked at on my trading view chart here. 55.45. So let's mark that where our stop is. 55.45. So stop is all the way down here. And you can see it's below our C area, which is good. That's a good spot to 45 right there. It's right about, it's kind of right down here where, so we got lots of room. And that's the way I read this one. And we got into this thing at what price did we get into it? Let me mark that. Template buy, enter to buy. And that was at 55.86. 55.80. So we got in right about up in here, this area. You can see how these wicks, these wicks are important. Now, I said we didn't take it, we didn't look at the 5-minute chart or anything like that when we took this. We just looked straight by the strategy. We're on a 5-minute chart now. Here's our anchor, here's our hit, rejected. Came back down, hit, rejected even harder. So it is finding more upward momentum as it comes back and retests. So I still like the trade. And that's about all we have to say about that one. Any question? Any other questions?
Al, Tara would like you to look at a trade. There's a 1 hour buy on the Euro Swiss.
Euro Swiss 1 hour. Let's
Please.
take a look at that. Euro Swiss right here. 1 hour. We know we have a zone right here. Let's see what it does in the 1 hour. Bounce, arrow, go. We do have a little zone right here we'll be having to play around with. This one's going to be Euros. Actually, I believe we just got an alert on the 1 hour Euro Swiss. Okay. Is
Really
that where that
now?
came? I wonder if that's where that came from. Let's see, inserts, shapes, rectangle.
Actually, Tyra had posted this at 8:04.
Oh, and this
So-
one just came out at just like right now.
Yeah.
She's a little bit. She has clairvoyant tendencies, I see. So this is the area I'd be looking at being careful of. It's got to drop. Here's the base drop. It's coming up to really retest this area. We do have a W right here. Here's a drop, pull back, drop, retest the zone, pull back. If it can break through this zone, I say we're good to go. We have a little bit of a zone right here. We have a level on a level. I wouldn't be surprised to see this one be taken out. Plenty of room to the upside once it gets through this area, but it's going to have to get through this. And the Euro Swiss, from me looking at it from our strength meter chart, Euro Swiss, the Euro Swiss is relatively weak. The Euro is relatively strong. Yep, I would say this would be a worthwhile thing to be considering for a swing trade right now. Let me template refresh, load the template, move my
Gearbox has me in that position right now.
long.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or
wow.
no, short.
Oh, short. Okay, that means it's going long then.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
That's another nice confirmation, isn't it? When you have different tools that can confirm the direction.
Especially when you know why the tools are doing what they're doing. You know the Gearbox is taking contra trend trades. So if it's taking trades on the upside, and that's another way you can. I wouldn't recommend taking the same trade on the same platform as Gearbox. But if you have two live accounts and you see Gearbox is taking contra trend trades in one direction and arrows saying that this is along in the other direction, what you're really doing is you're hedging your bet. You're hedging Gearbox's drawdown, and then you just take it for the profits on the other one as it plays out. And so it keeps your overall
Exposure?
Exposure and drawdown somewhat at bay.
Yeah.
So there's nothing. That's not
might
a
have to
bad
do that.
technique. I don't find that to be a bad technique.
That's an interesting view there, Al. And
There's
I
a-
really like that.
Earlier on, when Alexander and Einstein came out, that's pretty much what I was doing. Was whatever trade they were taking, I was taking the opposite position, knowing that they were contra trend.
Yeah.
I never really collected enough data to make it a strategy, but it proved successful probably more often than not. But it also it helps keep that, it helps control that, what I call your emotional inventory, as your mind will focus on the positive, focus on, oh, this one's going up, this one's going down, so at least this one's going up, I can take some profits. You can play your mind game any way you want to. It's more of a question of, are you a glass half full type of person, or are you a glass half empty type of person?
I was in 47% drawdown at one point last week in Gearbox.
Really?
Yep. I ended the week though 17% up.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm still trying to figure out how everybody got into. I mean, and that seemed to be the trend, is people got into a really good.
I'll tell you, for me, I was in three of my four positions for most of the week. The secondary currency for the pairs was the Swiss franc, which was really weak for the first 2.5 days, and then it flipped on Thursday afternoon, and it was like a slingshot, like you guys said. You go into drawdown, especially on Gearbox, at least from my perspective, you kind of get excited when you get into some drawdown, because that's when you're gonna make money.
Exactly. I do kind of like this one for a swing trade, actually.
Yeah, just got to break through this resistance on the 15, right?
Yeah, I would say if
we
can break through this, let me get some levels here. Let me my objects in. I would like to see a break through this little red zone first, and that'd be at 1.2 1016, call it.
We just got an up arrow, 4 euro chef on the 15-minute too, Al. At least I did.
On
Oh,
the 15-minute. Actually, I'm on a
You're there.
15-minute chart right now.
Yeah, I got an arrow on Envy.
Entrance fee.
that's interesting.
I may have to start moving my charting to NV here, just if nothing else, to get more consistency. But it's kind of nice knowing that there is a difference there, and there certainly has been some differences. I'm not sure why. So was that on this? Was that on this last candle? You got
the one prior to the first, yeah, where your yellow line, first yellow line is there. That
right here.
Yeah,
So it's getting right into our contra trend zone.
Yep.
I'm just checking something here, see if. I'm just checking another monitor here about something here. Well, right now it looks like it's, let's see, the Euro Swiss. Like I said, I do like the idea of the Euro is stronger. One thing I like seeing the Euro being stronger on the 15-minute or 30-minute. I like seeing at least a 3-point spread on this. And right now the Euro is stronger than the Swiss. Euro is stronger than the Swiss on the 15, the 30.
Hey, we might want to go back and look at our trade. It just got pretty ugly. The Euro odd.
It got real ugly real quick.
We just got down. We just got an opposite arrow and a new resistance zone.
Oh, we may want to be getting out of that one then. Let's see.
Let's go see.
Where's my chart? Let's see. We were on the Euro Aussie is what the one we're looking at. That one.
Herman said that the zone that popped up on Euro AUD.
AUD, yeah.
Euro AUD is over here. Let's go to our 15-minute. So yeah, right now we're kind of sandwiched in between zones. What are your thoughts there, Matt and CV and Eva and Christine? What are your thoughts on this?
So here is here we're gonna have some fun. And I'll bring some clarity to this. I had something that I did on TradingView a little bit earlier, and then this is not financial advice or nothing. So this might work out, it might not. But let me share my screen for a sec, Al.
All right.
I'll try to clean it up a little bit so that it's not as maybe potentially overwhelming. But so last week I draw this really strong trend line. I connected this bottom and this bottom and this bottom and this bottom, and then this bottom, and I'm like, all right, that's cool. That's a great trend line. Look where the trend line is. So I didn't move this. This was a while back. I drew that over here because I wanted to have an idea. Now, right now, we're coming back and we're tagging this trend line. It's bouncing around. You got that wedge that Al so meticulously put together, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got your wedge. You have a very strong move up, and then you have your pullback. So honestly, this is a deep pullback, but I'm not gonna be exiting that trade yet, just because of the really strong move up, like the whole price action of everything. I still trust this trend line. I'm not sure what anyone else sees, but if we had a stick here, we would end up in right there, right on that trend line from the fork. So
The support on the 15-minute 2 looks awfully strong. It's been tested a whole bunch of times. So
Well, it's coming from over here, man.
yeah.
Like this is the line here that you're
Yeah.
potentially seeing. And like I didn't go back super far, but we're talking like a month and a half. Like January. So yeah, it broke through there. But
Yeah, if it was me, at the very least, I'd be looking to see it retest that new resistance to break even, or see what it go, see where it goes from there. But
yeah, because here it just seems a little bit early in my perspective. Because look, like even I'm not sure what's gonna happen with this, but see, you've kind of got like see, look, I can pull it all the way back here, and this brings a lot of validity to this trend line, right? Because now I got hit. So it could smoke right through there. It really could, but I think there's still a confirmation to the original move that it could still be going up. I mean, break even is fine, right?
Yeah, I'm not inclined to get out of this trade yet. I did, because I was expecting to have somewhat of a bounce up around that area.
Right.
I think there's still enough room to the upside with the euro still stronger, is gaining strength. I think I'm okay with hanging into this trade and giving it the breathing room that it needs. Reason why I like it still is that the last rejection of that bottom trend line, which I drew was with that CD trend line, it was a much stronger bounce off of it and actually took out the previous significant high. And so it's
Right.
actually now starting to channel to the upside. And I think it's just going to be keeping into that channel. Now we may get a little bit, still take a little bit of heat, but the bottom is we're looking at that big green zone from the overnight session to where it's still that green zone is still having
Yeah. So you can share your screen now.
yeah.
I
Okay,
stopped sharing mine.
Okay, let me go back to sharing here. I can.
I shared what I wanted to share. I hope
Okay.
it brought a little bit of confirmation to what I kind of saw on the charts and how why I wasn't overly concerned about taking some heat on that.
Yeah, there's a lot of wicks right here, and we have, here's a low, here's a higher low, here's a higher low, but this candle right here took out this was a significant bounce off of that, which retested.
Yeah.
And so I'm still in the mind that it's still going to, this area is going to be retested again. So I'm just giving it the breathing room that it needs. I said we have a 40 pip stop. It's all the way down here. I don't expect to go all the way through the whole stop, but I would be looking at if it breaks through, and we're on a 15-minute chart. If it breaks through this area between this wick and, let's see if I can get, there we go.
Yeah, that green zone is only 2 pips away from where my trend line was.
Yeah. So it really is starting to, we'll see what happens. If we get this thing to pass, come back and retest this trend line and go down, then I may get out of this trade at this point. And if I'll get out of it with a smaller loss, if it comes back down and it bounces, it may give me an opportunity to take a little bit bigger position or another position with a little better position. Have a small loss here, but you're getting in that on a bounce to still get you back up to the upside. Right now it's kind of range bound between the top of this red zone and the bottom of the green zone, but it's making higher lows and it's making lower highs. Now when it breaks, it's going to break, but we don't know where that break is going to be at this point in time. Right now it's still trending in between these two blue lines right here.
So here goes that test there. Let's see what happens.
But we have lots of wicks. There's a lot of wicks in this whole area. That's very, very wicky. So just let it breathe and see what happens. We are in the contra trend zone right now.
Well, the plan is set, right, Al? So
The plan is set. We have our plan. We're going to trade our plan. The bottom line is we never know what the market's going to do. All we can do is set probabilities, and that's really all you can do. And when you have your plan, and right now the plan is, if it breaks this blue line, bottom blue line, comes back up and retests the blue line, I will probably exit the trade. Now, if it breaks the blue line and keeps on going, it may take my stop. If it takes my stop, it takes my stop. It's as part of the plan. My plan is to have a 40 pip stop on the other side of this zone. I'm still of the mind that this zone is going to protect me from my stop. I like having the stop below the zone, and you can see where the red dotted line is.
yeah.
My target
is that your
is up here.
200? Is that your 200 EMA down there, Al?
Yeah, this is the 200 EMA, and it could come down and retest that. If it comes down and retests that 200 EMA, it will stop me out, but then I can maybe catch a bounce to maybe get back in again. Yeah, that is the 200 EMA. That is something to note as we are looking at this. But I'm still seeing where it's bouncing right now. It's bouncing off of this. This would be where I had the CD. This is where I had my CD trend line over here. And it's still, and it wicked down below, but it didn't wick down a whole lot, and it's bouncing off. It sort of gave a little bit of a head fake. This is right where we was talking about the trap, the downward, the bottom trap. See how it wicked down, came back, and now it's bouncing off. Came down, wicked, broke this, took off. Broke it, took off. These are the traps. And right now I'm going to slide my upper trap. So right now it's still making lower highs and higher lows. So I'm going to move this thing down to here, this area. I'm going to include this one. And I'm going to just take it to wherever the trend line breaks. And so we actually have, here's a low, higher low, higher low. It broke it, but it didn't make a lower high. This one's still in control. This one's still now in control. This one, so we have bottom of this wick to the break of the trend line. And then we have this one has been controlled, and so now it's going to be wherever this breaks up to the top. But we also have a trend moving in this direction. So we have a little bit of a channel. Here's a high. Here's a higher high. Here's a low, higher low. Right now it's inside this channel. You can draw a channel from here. And let's find here's our high. I'll move this one down a little bit if I can. So here's my high, here's the top channel in that area. Here's the low of the channel. And here's the median. So right now you can see where, when we had the alert, it broke through the median. Now it's coming just retesting. Now, right now it's hanging out in the bottom half of this channel. So the question is it going to break the bottom, or is it going to break the midline and retest the top? We don't know, but this is what we're looking at. It did a lot of pricing, was hanging around down below, came up, retested the high, came back to the median. You can see this median line was the hit. There's a hit, here's a hit, here's a hit, here's a hit. It's reverting back to the median. This one is reverting back to the median. By the time it gets to the median, it's probably going to be out here somewhere. Or it may break this one to retest the top of this channel. By that time, we may be out of our trade by that time with some profit. I like this little channel tool.
Yeah, I use it quite a bit.
We just got another alert, Euro Swiss. That's still the same one, Euro Swiss we're looking at. Let's go back to that one, see if there's anything developing on that.
Euro AUD looks like the a lot of the drawdown disappeared. Still got a little bit, but you know, got 13 pips of heat.
And Euro Swiss is still waiting to, right now we're in our contra trend zone. So in either way, anything can happen on this one, but we're still looking at the strength of the euro. And euro is still, it's not overly exciting. It's not overly dominant over the Swiss, but it is a little bit. It does have a little bit more push to the upside than it does to the downside. And also I like this fact that we're getting this crossover. We had the bounce, the arrow crossed over the 200 moving average. The arrow moving average is following suit. All we have to do is get through this point, and then we could be looking at this target up here of the 108.60. And that could be a nice little, if it does, now we have a couple of zones we're going to have to deal with. We have this little zone right here. And come over here. Now this, if it can break through this area, which is the 110.29, we have a pretty clear shot up until we get to the 110.49, which is, that's getting right at that 50 marker. That is a very strong institutional point. 50 cents, 25 cents, 75 cents, and a dollar. But once it gets through that, then we pretty much clear sailing again. I still like this trade, Euro Swiss. Let's see if they can break through that zone. Let's take a look at that one on the Euro Swiss. See if we can get a little better read on that one from a dissecting type of situation. And let me move this chart over. Here's the Euro Swiss. Go to my 15-minute chart, see where we're at. Let me zoom into a higher time frame. Let's check out the 4 hours, see where that is. This is the area we're looking at, this little wick over wick area right here. There's a little, you have to pay attention. We're on a 4-hour chart right now, so we need to pay attention to this little area right in here. But it's probably going to retest the top of this, so that's going to be right around the 1029 to 128 area, which is pretty much right where that top of that red zone is. And we have the euro strong, only by 2. That's on a 4-hour chart. This is the next area we're going to be looking at. Here's the doji. We're going to mark that one. This will be our supply zone. Come on down to a lower time frame, so we can maybe tweak that a little bit. Move this out and see where the wicks are. You see the strong blue candle coming up, and it has made a wick. And when the bottom of this candle, this blue candle, got taken out, well, for this move, this is the area. This is the area where the sellers or the buyers lost control, and the sellers took over. And we have a little area right in here. So strong move up, came back down, tested the bottom of this blue candle. Here's a little drop, base, drop, base. This area right in here would be the areas where it's going to be the most problem right there. And I think, and I would expect it's going to come, you have the strength to come back up right into this area. And I'd be looking at this as being your next trap. And we'll wait and see. But we do have a, as you look in this higher time frame, we do have strong move up, came back down, retesting. And I'll bet there's a Fibonacci retracement in here. Oop, me. And so I'm going to look from this, here's the origin of this strong move up. So I'm going to draw a fib line. I'll just do a standard fib on this. I'll get my chart up here, all the way up to the top. Gee, imagine that, 61.8 retracement right here.
Surprise.
Surprise, surprise.
That number doesn't hold any value, does it, Al?
No, not hardly ever. We're being facetious. So right now, the fact this thing pulled back to the 61, to look at this as being target one is not out of the line. And then you could also look at this being the next target and this being the next target. When I see this type of retracement, what I oftentimes will do, I usually use a different tool, but let me show you. The other tool that I use is the Fibonacci extension. And that would be this one right here. So here's the origin of the move, come back up. Here's the pullback, and it pulled back 61.8. With this tool, what I do is I have it set so that when I pull back, I read where the top of the move was and look and see that's what my pullback was. So from here to here, I read it right here, 61.8. And then the target for this one would be, generally speaking, it's a one-to-one retracement, assuming that this is like a wave one, wave two, wave three on a Elliott wave type of scenario. I would be looking at this zone right here for a target. And then what I'll do is I will slide this thing down halfway between, right about there. And if it, which you're seeing is going to be coming right up a little bit past here. This would be my first target. No, this would be my target zone right in here. So that'd be looking right around the, price wise would be about 111-ish. That's how I would draw that out. But it does have room to the upside. And if you look at the, bring it down to a 15-minute chart. Let's see how our strength is over here. It's got to propagate. There we go. The euro is the red one. The red line is the euro. The gray line is the Swiss franc. The euro is still a little bit stronger. Now, if we go down to our 5-minute chart, let's just see where it looks like on the 5-minute. Still about the same picture there. But you can see that we're still in an uptrend. Here's a nice little pullback what we're looking at. So this thing still has room to the upside. I'm okay with keeping this. I would be okay taking this. If you're in this trade, I would be okay with using this as a good target.
EA just broke the wedge, Al, down.
Down? Oh, that's not good.
Oh, it did?
Yeah.
Let me go see what's going on here.
Let's pull up.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Oh no, that's not. We're not happy about that.
Let's see.
Well, we'll see if the trap holds or not.
Right, that's that trap zone, right?
See, I'm looking at this. I still want to see it came back. It came down. I'm still waiting to see if if it can come up to this trend line right in here and not go back into the wedge, then I'll get it. Then I will exit this trade. Or if it breaks the bottom of this trap, then I'll exit the trade.
Funny how you put that trap right there, Al, and you knew exactly where that trap was going to bounce.
Well, it's respecting this little pivot right here. It's respecting
Yeah.
that little pivot.
But we've seen the trap happen so many times at this point that it's not
Yeah.
even surprising.
But I said if this strong move down, so basically what it is, it got everybody going short.
Yeah.
Now it's going to come up and retest and see if it really wants to. Now, if there's some sell orders up, if there's a lot of sell orders up here, they're going to fill their sell orders and run it down even lower. So this little move right here is going to be critical, and we'll see how high this. Here's where this extension tool can come into handy here. Here's the origin of this down move. Now we're on a 5-minute chart, so the move won't be quite as impressive, so to speak. But if it comes down here to here, and it pulls back to the trend line. Right now, if it pulls back to where this yellow line, if it pulls back into this zone and starts to break this little trend, I'll be out of this trade because that just tells me it's going to be going lower. But this could be a drop. This could be a basing right in here, and then it could drop again. Drop, base, drop, and then come back and retest this area. See where our strength is. The Aussie is stronger. It's getting stronger.
Let's see.
Let's see how this plays out here a little bit. Pull down a little bit deeper. Now this is really the origin of the move right in here. This will be a big key. Is that how strong is the Aussie getting stronger? Is it gonna get weaker? Right now they're about neck and neck right now. How many more alerts coming in? Euro Swiss. Euro buy, a buy on the Euro Swiss, a sell on the Euro Aussie. So Aussie is still gaining strength to the Swiss. This is the one that we were looking at earlier. The Euro is, I think we had a buy on the Euro Swiss, 15-minute. We already talked about that one with that little zone that was looking at here. The Euro is showing strength on this one. The Aussie is showing strength to the Euro on this one. A little bit of a conflict as far as whether and how strong the Euro is. Move this out of the way. Clean up the chart a little bit. Remember, this was our demand zone. This green zone here was our demand zone. This is where all the buyers were coming in. We expect the buyers to come in. That was on the higher time frame. And I'm going to put it right about in there. I'm still hanging into this trade. I would like to see it come back up and at least retest this where it broke. And we'll just keep our eye on that one.
GCAD.
GCAD, here we go. Let's see what that one has. Ooh. Well, let's check this one out. We're going to go with, let's see where our zones are. Looks like it's in a downtrend. I'm going to refresh my charts. Load my indicators. And we said it was in a, what do we say, was it a downtrend?
Yep.
Move my arrow so I can figure out where that's going to be. Set that up there. And is there room to the downside? We had a drop retest. And there's a drop, a bounce arrow, go to, well, that's a lot of room to the downside. British CAD, let's see how strong that one is overall. CAD is strong on all 4 time frames, so we want to trade to the downside of it. I say this is a good trade. It's it with the trend, strong move down. It's breaking through the, it's making new lows from the overnight low from the money zone. Here's the break. This looks like a drop, base, probably a drop. I'll take this trade. Put my target in. Sell, buy, target. And actually, I think we could probably give ourselves a little bit more room on this one. Here's a little wick we have to figure out. It's got to clear through that wick, but maybe test that. There's enough momentum that we have the crossover. Everything's moving on down. Nice, strong drop. Basing. I look for a drop base drop to this side. Actually, this thing could very well go all the way down to, actually, I kind of like this area down here for a little bit longer shot at this 175.54. 75.54. Oops, wrong one. Disregard. Don't want to do that.
That's the first area my eyes went to, Al, when I looked at the
Yeah.
chart, is I saw 58.
Be looking at this for a target 75. 75.54. Try that. I like that one a little bit better. Let's see if I can just move this thing up. There we go. Don't get greedy. And British CAD, British CAD. And let's go back to that Euro Swiss just to, so we have this one all set. I like this trade. How about you, CB and Matt?
I'm in. I waited an extra second there. Got a little better price, but I'm in.
Yeah, I'm in there too. I saw the setup and I like where it's going. So, hey, you know what?
You're going for how many pips, Sal?
I'm gonna go for the. I'm gonna shoot for the 75.60. You'll see if I can hang in that long.
Yep.
That's an extra 20 pips.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
British CAD, British CAD. Let me get my other chart set up.
Yeah. I'll take that any day, Al.
I'm gonna go for I'm gonna go for 40 on this one. And the Euro Aussie starting to recover a little bit from that first big drop. This actually has a little bit of a wedge here. You look at this. Where would I see it? What would I see here? Oops, wrong one. I got grabbed the wrong chart. Disregard. Let me get this other one. Here's the Euro Aussie. See, nice, getting a little flag pattern here. Strong move down, coming back up. Here's a little wedge right in here on this area. We'll see what it does. So here's the low. Here's the high. There's a higher low. And we're going to flat top the top. Actually, let's do it this way. If we could, right now, if we get a close below, if we get a close below this bottom red line, I'll exit this trade.
Okay.
I want to see it come up and I'd like to see it get up a little bit higher and retest this upper trend line. This is our new playground right in here. Strong move down. You can see it only came back about 50%. This one's not good. And seeing that was the Euro Aussie.
The trade that originally looked like a really good setup.
Yeah, it looked like a really good setup. I'm going to put my stop at 55.56. Euro Aussie. If it stops me, I'll stop. I'm just going to move my stop up a little bit. Let's see. Actually, let me try to look at this here a little bit closer.
You're on the pound. You're on the pound.
I'm on the wrong one here, aren't I?
Yeah, you had me nervous there. Like, where's he going with this?
Yeah, with the way, where is he? What is he doing?
Don't stop yourself out of that trade, Al.
Yeah, yeah, that would not be pretty. Okay, that's why I have you guys here to keep me straight, especially on Monday mornings. Oh my gosh.
Well, I took a trade on the wrong currency this morning. Only lasted for like 2 seconds though, but yeah, it's been a long weekend. Little guy's birthday and everything.
Oh.
4 years old already.
Oh boy, this one is just playing with us here.
It sure is, Al. It really is. It's weird, man, because I'm still thinking it's going up. Like it's failing to break.
Well, what the thing that I keep looking at is I keep looking at this demand zone. It's basically I could see it driving in, and our stop is still on the other side of this.
Mm-hmm.
And this may be one of those we just give it the 40 pips and just let it do its thing and just not think about it. And we can analyze this to our blue in the face, and we still may not really know.
Yeah, we could still get it wrong. We could spend an hour going over Euro AUD, trying to look at everything that could possibly happen,
but
and
what
still
I'm
be
seeing,
wrong.
Yeah, we're still seeing some. It's not the Aussie is starting to gain a little bit of strength against the euro, but it's not that conclusive.
Well, the 9 o'clock hour is coming now in like 6 minutes.
Yeah, that's true.
So
that's true. Yeah, we're good.
Markets.
Let me look and see how this is looking. This is on the 1 minute chart. It's still, there's some moving averages here. See if I can get my moving averages up.
New York could yank it up, huh? Maybe.
It might.
It might.
Stranger things have happened.
Mm-hmm.
Got moving averages in here.
Yeah, some funky business. I'm not sure how to.
And it could just run right. It could just drive us right down in here to get us a bounce. Now, question: do we want to? This is where the main buyers are, right in here. So do we want to be selling? Do we want to get out of our position? Basically, we are in a long position. So do we want to sell right into where everybody's starting to buy? We have the 40 pip stop. I'm just going to hang on to that 40 pip stop. If it comes real deep into this zone, I may try and save a few pips, but right now I'm just going to let this thing breathe.
While
Yeah.
that's breathing, can we answer Pepper's question?
What's that? What's Pepper have to say?
Pepper would like to say, are you at all concerned that today's move on pound CAD is already 150 pips and the daily ATR is 100? Maybe the move is already done? That's his question.
It's a good observation.
It's an observation. I don't spend a lot of time looking at the daily ATR, to be honest with you, Pepper.
Mhm.
I'll put it on sometimes just to get an idea. It usually doesn't filter into my equation. Let's just say that as a rule.
Right, but he was talking on pound CAD, not this pair.
Right. Well, on any
Okay.
pair.
Okay,
Yeah,
no, I'm just saying, so I didn't know if you want to scoot over to that chart
Yeah,
or
fine. I
not.
can take a look at the pound CAD here.
Thank you.
Mhm. Pound CAD. Let me just get another.
4 minutes, Al. 4 minutes.
Okay. Actually, they're almost done with our session here.
It's a quick session today.
Yeah, pound CAD. So the question, are you concerned about today's move? The pound CAD is already 150 pips. Okay, 150 pips of the daily. Let's get back to a 15-minute chart here so I can get a little better perspective. Let's see, this was the low. This was Friday's low. I'd just be more apt to be looking at seeing how far of a retracement has this made. And so I would be looking at there's a range, here's a retracement, here's how far it retraced. It retraced 61.8. So that means more to me than the fact that did 150 pip retracement. Let's see. So from here to here is, see, Friday's move was 218 pips.
Yeah.
So it's way past the 150 pip average true range. This range. So really, it's really only, I just look at this as a retracement.
Mm-hmm. Likewise.
And I'm also looking at where are my zones. This is a blue zone, and the green zone right here. No, I guess to answer your question, Pepper, I'm not too concerned about that. Looks like it's bouncing right off at the 61.8 retracement factor. If I bring this up to 61.8, which is right about there, I line this over here, and here's my extension. This is basically my trap. So I guess hopefully that answers your question, Pepper. Let's go back to the Euro Swiss. The other one was the Euro Aussie. That was the other one that was giving us some problems. Put this back to the Euro Aussie. And then we can pretty much, I guess we're not really confined by any time. There's nobody coming in behind us, I don't think.
No. No other call today. Until later on in the evening.
So this trap is done. We could take that off of there. Where's our stop on this one? If I get a close below here, if this candle closes below, I'll exit this trade.
It might do it for us.
It may do it for us. Not a good way to start out in the Monday morning. Mondays, we've been doing some analysis on different pairs over a period of 6 months or so, and found out that Monday was the least profitable day. Mondays and Fridays were the two least profitable days on pairs in general. We're getting more and more data and analysis, but that does give rise to being careful about trading on Mondays. It's a lot, especially like the first day of the month, first day of the week. That's where the institutions are trying to drive the prices to their longer term positions for the weekly and the monthly positions.
That's the start of those monthly candles and those weekly candles, and
Exactly.
I mean, they're big candles, so they want to send them in the right direction, because most traders are looking at those higher time frames, and you know.
Yeah, here's something. I mean, here's something to take a. I mean, if you look at let's just put this on a weekly. I'm just going to take all this stuff off of here. When I put this on a weekly chart, and we're going to look and see how did it close out. It closed out bullish. Here's where. Let me take all this stuff off. And this is something I think is worth paying attention to, is that this is the weekly last week's range. If I can draw it. One of my earlier mentors said that the highs and lows will come in first. So in other words, what that basically means is that you had the monthly close was bullish. In order for the next month or next week, in this case, to go up higher, the low is going to come in first. And that's what oftentimes happens if you look and see where the Fibonacci's are. That this was a down move. We had a bullish weekly candle. So basically this candle engulfed this red candle. This is a bullish engulfing candle off this red one. You see how the red candle, where it closed, the low came in first, and then it went up higher. So this is kind of a reversal area. Now last week closed up here, and here's the pullback. And I'll bet if we put a Fibonacci on this this blue candle, here's the low, here's the high, and then we have the pullback to, let's just call our 60% pullback. It would not be surprising to have this thing pull back to the 154.63 area. And then have it go up higher. And then if that were the case, then we'd be looking at this area up here for a target. Again, this is where we're at a new month. Template, let me show the target. Now this is a weekly. Now let's go to a monthly chart. Monthly says it's still in a downtrend, but here's the nice big wick. Here's where it kind of reversed on the weekly. But from a monthly standpoint, this thing is still this was what happened here. This was probably March. No, February. April 20. Oh, that's April 20. Okay, this was a year ago. This is March a year ago. This is when COVID hit. But you can see this thing's still kind of in a downtrend on a higher time frame. The monthly time frame is still in a downtrend. On a daily, it's still if it's on a daily, monthly downtrend, but now this is a little bit of a pullback, but it's still basically in a downtrend. Here's your high. Here's a lower high. Here's a lower high. Here's your trend line. And then when we're trading on 5 and 15-minute charts, it's hard to really plan with the higher time frames you're talking about, daily, weekly, monthlies, but they do play a factor, especially when you get down to their breaking points. Trend line, trend line. Here's a challenge the trend line. We can move it on up a little bit. Here's really this is the first violation. Actually, right now, this is trend line anchor. Here's a hit. Here's a hit. Now we're on a daily chart now.
I just got knocked out of that trade.
Did you just get knocked out? I probably will too. I probably did too. But this is in a downtrend. This was a pullback to the trend line. So a lot of times, that's why, especially with the first of the months, it's referencing these monthly charts.
I know what you mean.
So.
Yeah, I had my stop at 43 pips because of that big trend line I previously showed. It was just a little bit below there. So we'll see what happens.
But it's no surprising as we look at these higher time frames, especially with today being the first day of a month. It's not overly surprising that that's what happened here.
Well, it's noteworthy, right? We'll know for next time.
Yep, it's noteworthy. So with that, again, I think we're pretty much at the end of our session. Any other last questions before we go?
None on my side.
Nope. Okay. Well, again, thanks everybody for being here. Sorry we didn't have a winning day today. Keep your powder dry. Be aware of the trades today and actually the first of this week. Be cautious. This is the week where their institutions are getting their positions set for the month and for the week. So non-farm payroll on Friday. We'll be here tomorrow, same time, 7:30 to 9. See you then.